It is that time again. Time for another episode of Shelve It or Shove It, the completely superficial way to pick books for your TBR based solely on their covers. I am your host, Daisy X Machina, the drag queen detective who investigates all things speculative in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. And this is the start of a new year. Welcome to 2024. And as usual, we'll be looking at books in young adult science fiction and fantasy, and just looking at the covers, picking one of these books to add to my TBR for January. And these are books that are released in December. So let's go ahead and get started with young adult. First up is Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. And I like this cover. I like that the R and the V are kind of look like typewriter keys, and I like that wispy sort of watercolor petals in the back. I am thinking this is probably romance. I'm not getting a very good idea of what genre this is, but I'm kind of guessing romance, and I'm not a big fan of romance. And for those reasons, I'm going to have to shove it. Next up is Heartstopper, Volume 5 by Alice Oseman. Now, I haven't been reading these Heartstopper books. I thought they were graphic novels. But I have seen the Netflix series. I thought it was adorable. It's sort of this rom-com dramedy about high school gay kids, and although I like watching rom-com fantasies, I'm not a big fan of reading them. And I don't like this illustration on the cover. I don't like this embrace. You can't see the faces. I'm not a big fan of this illustration. So I'm going to have to shove it. Next up is The Ruined by Renee Adia? And I apologize if I mispronounce the name. And it does say at the top, Book 4 of the Beautiful Quartet. So this is the fourth book in the series. And I do like this butterfly. I like this metallic butterfly. Not getting a great sense of what the story could be about. I am guessing fantasy. But it's book 4, so I'm going to have to shove it. Next up is Every Time You Go Away by Abigail Johnson. And I kind of like these little paper cutouts. The cover looks very simple because there's just this light blue background, but the little paper cutouts are interesting. I love that cat. There is a woman in a wheelchair, and then I think it's a guy below her looking up. So if you're into young adult romance, maybe this is for you. I don't think it's for me. So I'm going to have to shove it. And finally, in young adult is Lucero, the finale to the Nocturna trilogy. And I have heard of the trilogy, but I have not read the first two books. It's by Maya Motain. I might be mispronouncing that. A world unbalanced, a villain returned, a destiny revealed. And that's a tagline. And there's sort of this mosaic around it with a scales of justice in the middle. Not actually quite sure of what this could be about or what the setting is. I'm thinking Middle East, Indian, maybe. Anyway, it's a book 3, so I'm not going to pick it up for Shove It or Shove It. That means I'm going to shove it. Now we move on to science fiction. And by the way, we did not pick anything for young adult, so we'll see. First up is Orbital by Samantha Harvey. Okay, this is not doing it for me. I'm assuming these are planets in some type of abstract, very colorful. I like the colors, but I don't know what this story could be about. I mean, it has abstract planets, I think, on the cover. I mean, it says orbital, so I'm assuming they're planets. And there's kind of that blue sort of space-looking background, maybe. I don't know. I'm not getting enough from the cover. I'm going to have to shove it. Next up is Yours for the Taking by Gabriel Kord. I don't know what I'm looking at. Is this a window? Is this a portal on a spaceship looking at skies? I'm getting nothing from this. Nothing from this cover at all. I'm going to have to shove it. Next up is The Oxygen Farmer by Colin Holmes. And unfortunately, the title has the word farmer in it, which kind of makes me draw away from it because I'm not interested in learning about farming or farmers. But I know that Robert Heinlein's, one of my favorite juveniles, is Farmer in the Sky, which was a big surprise. So I'm going to go with it. I like sort of that green font on the title that's really contrasting with the blue earth and from the perspective of the moon with an astronaut roaming down the moon's surface. So yeah, I like this cover. Oh, the tagline reads, sabotage, murder, cover-ups, just another day on the moon. And so that gives it sort of, maybe there's a little bit of comedy here. Maybe there's a bit of a thriller mystery. So yeah, I like the cover. I'm going to go ahead and shelve it. Next up is Afterworld by Debbie Urbanski. I hate this cover. Oh my goodness, this is awful. This is the background, I guess, is this. It looks like little lens flares. It doesn't look like stars. Maybe it's glitter. I don't know. I don't know what this could be about. No idea. No idea. I'm going to have to immediately shut it. And finally, in science fiction is Star Wars: The High Republic Adventures, Volume 2. I think this is an anthology, not sure. And I've said before, I like the illustrations on the Star Wars covers, but I haven't been a big Star Wars fan of reading Star Wars since Alan Dean Foster, Splinter in the Mind's Eye. And as interesting, actually the cover looks a little busy with all these characters, but as much as I may even like the artwork, it's not the type of novel for me, so I'm going to have to shove it. Okay, this has not been a great start to 2024. I've only picked one cover, and we're on to fantasy. Let's hope fantasy redeems itself. So, first up is Gold by Raven Kennedy. Okay, I like the gold bird. Looks like a sparrow, maybe. And it says the Plated Prisoner series, so I know this is part of a series, but I don't know if it's a first book or the 10th book, not just looking at the cover. Fortune favors the gold. So, of course, I'm thinking of Red Rising but that's probably not, I probably shouldn't be. Okay, so yeah, not getting enough from this cover. Even though I like the bird, I'm not going to pick it up just based on this cover. I'm going to have to shove it. Next up is A River of Golden Bones, Book 1 of The Golden Court by A.K. Mulford. Okay, so we know this is a series, first book in a series, so if you pick it up, you're going to have to wait probably a year for the second book. I do kind of think this illustration is interesting. It looks like a dog with this splash of water that sort of is a rainbow from pink to purple to blue. It's not enough for me though. Not enough for me to pick up just based on the cover, and it's book 1, so I'm going to have to shove it. Next up is All the Hidden Paths by Foz Meadows. I like that author's name, Foz Meadows. And this is the exact type of cover I hate. It's featuring the title, and there's things around it. And in this case, it is leaves and some flowers. There's a pendant and a sword, telling me nothing about the book. And one of my least favorite types of cover designs. So what do I have to do? Shove it. And next up is The Dragons of Deepwood Fen, The Book of Holt Part 1 by Bradley P. Beaulieu. Again, I'm mispronouncing these names. Okay. There are 2 dragons, a whitish blue and a green. If this was D&D, it would be a frost versus a poison dragon. And I believe there are writers on it, so dragon writers. I like this artwork. Whoever this artist is very talented. I do like the artwork. How many times have we seen dragons on a cover or dragon writers on a cover, and what is it really telling us about the story? I'm not getting anything unique about it. I'm just getting generic dragon fantasy, so I'm going to have to shove it. And finally, in fantasy is The Doom of Odin by Scott Odin. Am I reading that right? And Odin, of course, is the head of the Norse god pantheon. And there is a big black dragon and red flames. What's interesting about... Oh, never mind. Never mind. I was going to say what's interesting about it, it looks like there's the White House in the background, but that's not the White House. Okay. We don't know if this is a series or not, but I like the previous dragon artwork better than this one. I'm just going to have to go ahead and shove it. Okay, this has not been a great start to 2024. Is it just my imagination? Are these covers a little substandard? But we did Shelve 1, The Oxygen Farmer by Colin Holmes. So let's go ahead. Made this Shelve It or Shove It pretty easy. Let's go ahead and read the blurb. Sabotage, murder, cover-ups, just another day on the moon. After 35 years of living on the moon, cranky old oxygen farmer Millennium Harrison has stumbled onto a hidden facility in the shadows of the Slayton Ridge exclusion zone with a radiation leak and a deadly secret. Mill's discovery leads to the death of a young astronaut. Sabotage, murder, and cover-ups that may go all the way to the chief administrator of the space agency. Unfortunately, she happens to be Mill's estranged daughter, busy trying to secure her own legacy, the first international mission to Mars. With time ticking down to a limited launch window, enemies, friends, and even family may do anything to ensure the truth doesn't come out. Or will history finally catch up with a deadly scheme that has the potential to destroy the moon and eradicate all life on Earth? It seems the planet's only hope is a cantankerous guy who never really liked these people in the first place. For readers who enjoyed 2001: A Space Odyssey by Arthur C. Clarke, Artemis by Andy Weir, Moonfall by Jack McDevitt. Okay, so this does seem like a science fiction thriller. It's not far, far future because they haven't colonized Mars yet, but I like the main character's name, Millennium Falcon, Harrison Ford, so there's that. Okay, I'm interested. Sort of espionage, thriller on the moon. And I wonder how they farm oxygen. Well, guess I'll find out. So, I'm curious, but I'm more curious what books you would have picked based solely on their covers. Let me know down in the comments. And while you're there, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Until we meet again, may all the books you read be blessed.